Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I would like to convene the March 25 meeting of the Niskayuna Complete Streets Committee. And start by the roll call here. My name is Bill Chapman. I'm here. Teresa Healy, Tess Healy, is she joining us? Not yet. Carla Duggle is here. Carla Duggle. Jim Levy. Hi, Jim. How are you? Andrew Millspaw. Hello, Andrew. How are you? Is joining us today. Catherine Kuzman. Hi, Catherine. How are you?
Good.
I hope you don't have a bad cough today.
Yeah, my family is sick, so I'm
Oh,
staying
darn.
home.
I'm darn. Ben O'Shea may join us over the phone, but not here yet. And then our three student representatives, Avi Barr, Percy Davis, and
James Nan?
Yeah, James Lamb. Yes. May join us, but not here yet. So, okay. Next piece of business is privilege of the floor. If there's anyone listening out or here in town hall that would like to speak to the Complete Streets Committee, may do so.
I didn't get any emails.
No. Okay. I would then move on to our minutes for February the 26th. Anyone have any modifications? I have one small one, but anyone else have any comments on the minutes that they would like to recommend change? Line 88, it was actually Andrew Millspaw who said there's a building near the bike path that needs improving. Andrew, I think you said there was a building behind GE Global Research that's been there for quite a while. It's kind of a shelter for the rain or whatever, and it's been there a while, but it's could use a little repair, I guess. And I think you mentioned that.
Yeah, I commented that it was there. Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so
Well,
87 should go from
Yeah,
Bill.
88 should go from
88.
Chapman to Andrew Millspaw.
Just aside, I looked into that and asked GE if they could fix it, and they said it's definitely the town's, and the town has to fix it. So sad.
Well, that means if any of us are reclining there from a bike ride, we can't be scooted off. We'd say this is town property and we're resting a bit. So, and on any other time. With that addition, I'd like to move acceptance of the minutes for February 26th, and so move. Second, anyone? Carla Duggal seconds the minutes. All in favor of the minutes, just hold your hand up, please. Minutes for February 26th. All in favor. Okay. Next item is the draft comprehensive plan, the chapter on mobility and transportation. And Catherine Kuzman is our informal chair of this committee, so I would ask if she wants to offer anything, or Carla Duggan.
Well, I don't really have too much of an update to give, except that we're hoping to get a first draft to this group by the end of this week or the beginning of next week. So that's pretty much where we are right now. And quite honestly, I don't know where the rest of the comprehensive plan committee is on this. I don't know how the other chapters are going, or if anybody has any information on that, that would be helpful just to see how overall it's progressing. Anytime.
Yeah, so they've been working pretty hard on the Parks and Recreation chapter, but they haven't really gotten beyond that one. There's a lot of
Okay, so we're not doing so badly then, right? I
yeah,
mean,
no, you guys are basically probably exactly where they are. Although I was going to ask if that's your timeline, we could schedule their next meeting. Well, they have a meeting tomorrow, and they're going to keep working on the Parks and Parks chapter. But their next meeting, I think, is April 9th, I think.
Okay.
So I don't know if that would work to go again, or if you want a little more time than that.
Well, I don't know. I think that there's some new information that I got today for the chapter rather, on mobility and transportation. So I'm hoping to look at it tomorrow and then incorporate it into the chapter. And at that point, once that's done, I'll send it to our larger group and get their comments. So whether or not we can get everyone's comments by the 9th, I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's a pretty tight turnaround between meetings, but yeah, you can let me know. Even if you guys want, and they're just grateful for whatever you can do, and your timeline is definitely still okay.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. Okay.
What we're doing too.
Yes.
So it's, and I saw your post that you sent.
Right.
Louder.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah.
Yes, I would say that we might use a few more days if we wanted to, you and I and Carla to try to put something together, or you want to try to work with what we have already. And I don't know if we want to give our Complete Streets Committee members a chance to look at it before we move something along to the Comp Plan Committee.
Yeah, well, absolutely, Bill. I mean, I thought what I would do is take the information that you and Carla gave to me today, try to incorporate it into the chapter so it seems a little more consistent, like there's maybe one voice speaking, rather than having three different individuals. So once I do that, it will probably take me 2 or 3 days to get that done, and then I'll send it to you guys again. And hopefully that I'll get the okay, and then we can forward to the Complete Streets group. I do want to get it. I think it's important that we get the input of everybody from this group first before anybody else sees it.
Yeah, I still have, some sections to do, like I'm looking at intersections, and I know we'd mentioned, the intersections that's in the 2013 report, like, there are several that have been repaired really over the last 10 years. Something has been done to address what's going on, like the traffic circle at the Rexford Bridge, or the traffic circle at River and Rosendale Road. But there was a recommendation to maybe try to get some time with Detective Munger to identify some intersections that the PD says are still a problem. And so we at least want to mention them. And I don't think that section is necessarily solutions, but they are still intersections that are concerning, and then other stuff. So
Bill, did you get the information I sent you on intersections?
yes, I did.
Okay, good.
And
All right.
I thought that was actually quite relevant, that the section that we looked at, Catherine made the point that a lot of planning things, really level of service is the criteria on whether an intersection is working or not. But the authors were saying, hey, how fast cars can go through town is not necessarily the most important thing. That if you're doing complete streets treatment, we want safe intersections that pedestrians and bicyclists and motorists can go through. And so we need to use a different criteria standard on, whether an intersection is not functioning correctly or would not be functioning correctly with some more complete streets treatments. It could be that if pedestrians can cross and bicyclists can use the intersection, it moves a little slower, but we don't have 8 deaths every 4 years, then it's a better functioning road and a better functioning intersection. And so we should consider that as part of the criteria that we're looking at.
Yeah, I feel like that would be a great recommendation to put in the plan, that we want to move away from level of service just to vehicles, and then maybe see if there's some standard criteria we could use to evaluate intersections based on complete streets.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Also connectivity, like I sort of put it into a written form, in terms of like looking at, like pouring over all the Complete Streets materials, the appendix that Bill produced and everything and put it together that way. But are you ultimately looking for like recommendations and implementation strategies? Like, so take it from there to that. I mean, so
That's
it's,
what the rest of the chapters are, I think. They have.
Right. and that's considered, but that's.
Well, I think
that's
it's
what we're
we've,
doing, the next step or.
yeah, I think that's where we're at now, but I think we've tried to steer a little bit of a middle course that we can't just replace our Excel spreadsheet with the 50 projects that we want to think need to be done. But at the same time, we want to reflect some recommendations that reflect what we learned as Complete Streets members, what the citizens have reported in our survey, what we may find in the survey that's now being filled out to say, here's what citizens are thinking, so that, well, even just like this recommendation on level of service, or recommendations on, we have 18 county roads. I mean, they could all use maybe something, but if we narrow down to maybe 4 of them that we say we think something on these roads is important and we want to do that, or just other kind of general recommendations that we want to pass along to the planning board, Conservation Advisory Council, developers, to say, we've been studying the town. We read the earlier plan. We've had input from the comp plan committee and from our own members, and we think these are some relevant recommendations to go in the plan. And so we want to do some of those. But I think Jim's point was, well, it doesn't have to be fixed like, this recommendation was in the 2024 plan and you're not working on it, or nothing's been done. Doesn't mean it's a failure. It's more, just an example of connecting the bike path from Windsor out to River Road. Well, it's been in the comp plan for 20 years, but an opportunity comes along when the developer's developing the Kelts property, and there's a chance for us to move the push button crosswalk to where it lines up with Blatnick Park, and the cost goes to the developer, and we don't have to get a grant to do it. So, that's just a good thing that we have recommendations in the plan. So where an opportunity presents itself, we can take advantage of it. And we'd like to have some of those specific in there so that for grant purposes, or even in the debate over whether, the Windsor Drive should connect, at least there's some debate in there that some people can say, gee, it's been in the master plan for 20 years that we should do this. And it's a counterweight to other people that don't want to do it. So
if you're putting like all the traffic intersections that are problems, wouldn't it be beneficial to put like county roads that have problems? Like if Council Road isn't included as one of those 4, but that actually has got, a couple of, it's got segments of sidewalk.
yes,
It's got some.
and that's what I'd like to do is have a section on intersections so that we want to address all 20 county roads. You can't really do it. Some of the most important ones are Rosendale and Van Antwerp, but that doesn't mean there aren't what I'd say are priority intersections where, we need to do something, which even reflects in the 2013 comp plan that they had the corridor study for Balltown Road, which is now 30 years old, but they said, you need to update the corridor study, but there's still 2 or 3 intersections or 2 or 3 other issues here that we should move ahead and do. So, is that an answer, Carla, or not? I mean, I do think we want to address some specific things.
Not all.
No, I think it's a mix of both town and county, and some state roads that we, for instance, Tess Healy's just joined us. How are you, Tess? That, for instance, the intersection of Knott and Balltown Road, the 2013 plan said, gee, there needs to be a left turn lane there. So people turning left to go north on Balltown Road don't back up all the traffic on that street. And that was recommended to the state to do something when we looked at the co-op block, but they said, no, we're not doing that right now. We're gonna have to wait until we look at this intersection. We know it's an issue, but we're not doing something with it right now, but they acknowledged that it was an issue. And so I think that would be appropriate to just leave in the plan to say, well, this concern hasn't gone away. We alerted the state to it and they'll get to it when they get to it.
So they actually reviewed that intersection for 3 lanes and it doesn't fit without pushing into the gas station. So they reviewed it for the left turn lane and actually said no.
Well, in my view, if you look at the bank, across the street, instead of going to the gas station, you take some land from the bank and they've got a lot of land right there that you could find enough space to put that lane over there.
Yeah, okay. It may just be semantics, but I actually don't think it's fair to say that the state.
Oh, no, I'm not saying they're negligent. I'm just saying, yes, well, that's their prerogative. And so, but, we could decide not to put it in. As a matter of fact, if you see that as a recommendation in the 2024 comp plan, you could say, no, Bill, the state looked at that. It's their intersection. They don't think it's a problem. Now, maybe if they lived in Niskuna and they had to camp out on that street to make a left turn on Balltown Road, they might say, oh, the local residents might know something here. Let's take another look at this.
I just think, obviously just wording that, we have to be careful because they did
Yes.
fully review that intersection and that was actually set aside. So I will, I didn't think about it when I was doing this for the comprehensive plan, but we're still going to leave the comprehensive survey out for quite a while, but we have 160 responses maybe. I can send you the preliminary stuff for Complete Streets if you want to see that while you're working on it. It's actually probably very similar to your survey. Sidewalks and multi-use paths are very supported. People want walkability. It's one of the big things they want and for the future of Niskuna. So, no major surprises, but I can send it to you.
Has everyone done the survey, by the way? The committee? Okay. I got to do it too, so I got to do it. But anyway, I think Carla needs to do it and anyone else. How long does it take to get replies coded into the database?
15 minutes, but I actually have SurveyMonkey keeps track of how long it takes for people to take it. And I can't remember exactly what it reported, but I think it's somewhere more in the 13 minutes to take.
So if I did this tomorrow, it would be in the database in a day or two, or
Well, the paper ones we have to manually input. but
if I do it electronically, though.
if you do it electronically, it goes in there immediately.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The paper ones we manually input.
Now, what about narrative text? What do you do with that? Certainly.
So it has it all as a list, but you can also do things like word cloud and things to pull out thread. And you'll see there's a lot of stuff that comes up that people want to be able to walk to things for sure. And also no shop. People are concerned about traffic and safety on the roads in the future, and Route 7 comes up a lot.
Any comments on the comp plan test that you want to mention while we're talking about it here? Okay. Anything else, Jim Levy or Andrew or Catherine, that you want to offer on the comp plan at this point while we're discussing?
Well, I appreciate everyone working on it. No, Bill, you and I started years ago and didn't get very far, so appreciate everyone else taking a crack at it.
Well, I did recommend, a diagram that would be helpful, and we're kind of looking at north-south and looked at the corridor study for Balltown Road, and just thinking aloud about, well, if the state doesn't put in a bike path or doesn't put in an asphalt side path on Balltown Road, how do you move north and south? And one thing we've discussed is that there is somewhat of an alternative path that you take your bike over the Rexford Bridge and you come on the bike path behind Craig School and you get over to now the push button at St. David's or St. Joseph's and River Road. And then you cross over to St. Joseph's and you can come down Orchard Park and then get on the bike path. Okay. And and then once you go down, that street east, you could even get to the intersection of Balltown Road and at CVS. So you're halfway north-south through Niskayuna, and we've had some other thoughts about getting the rest of the way too. But anyway, I guess we'll close on the comp plan for now, and Carla and Catherine and I are going to keep working and maybe have another session with ourselves and then have something with the comp plan.
Yeah, and I can send you the, I mean, like I said,
Yeah, send us some
data, but I can send you what we.
Okay.
Just take a look.
Okay, thank you. All right, next piece of business, safety on Route 7, the Lincoln study.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I noticed in the minutes, because I missed the last meeting, sorry about that, stuff in Alaska, but that Jim mentioned that it was in the draft, the linkage study for the town of Niskayuna was in the draft unified work program for the Transportation Council, which was true. It was voted on, I think, March 7th and passed. So although we don't have the contract yet, it's built into the plan and we were awarded a linkage study for Route 7. So that's really exciting. And it's also going to be a lot of work. So if you guys remember, what happens with the linkage study is that the Transportation Council will put together the proposal for a consultant. They will, run it past us. We can work on it with them. They'll put it out to bid. They'll collect the bid. Hi, James. And they will hire them. So there's a lot of work that they take on that we don't have to do. But what we are going to have to do is their linkage studies are very big on public outreach and, like community, working with the community. And we have a fair chunk of in-kind hours that we have to put towards this grant. So I think that it's going to be enough work that it's probably, we could do updates for it on regular Complete Streets meetings. But my recommendation, and I just want to see how you guys feel about it, is that we probably need to do a subcommittee on the linkage study. In kind, I was only expecting 3 to 4 people to be working on it consistently. And those people would probably put in more hours that we can keep track of for the grant. I'm still going to track when we talk about it at the Complete Streets meeting. But I think if we don't have a subcommittee, it may kind of take over our meetings. So it's up to you guys. We can just keep it as a regular item on our agenda, or we could kind of make a subcommittee to work specifically on that linkage study.
Laura, you're going to have a large committee for that though, right? That would be separate than this one?
I was planning on, it can be large. I wasn't planning on a super big one because it's just hard to get volunteers and volunteer time right now,
Right.
But I'm happy to take anyone.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, typically the studies I've worked on, the police department will be involved. You might have the fire department involved. DOT is going to be at the table. The county will be at the table. CDTA is going to be at the table. So there's a lot of outside agencies in addition to us. And then they're going to want, a handful of people certainly from the town. But
Yeah.
It's probably going to be its own kind of standalone committee or worked up as a subcommittee of this somehow. But there are going to be a lot of outside agencies that are going to be at each one of those meetings. So they're their own standalones usually.
And I think those things are built into the Transportation Council side, but I think
Yeah.
they're also counting on us to do a fair amount of internal work in support of the grant. And in that
Yeah.
case, I don't think those would be the meetings where like DOT or anything will be there. But police, yes.
I got you.
You know what I mean? Because we probably can't count those hours for our time. We'll have to do some behind the scenes work that we use to support them. And then that all goes into the grant at the end of the day.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yep.
So should we have a subcommittee of this committee? Or should we just put everybody on Complete Streets is part of that committee, and, you know, they may have, that committee would put to this committee here, but not necessarily consume the whole meeting with whatever's going on with Route 7.
Right.
And also, I think there are people that live on Route 7 that would be good people to have, especially for volunteer hours and that sort of thing. So we need some folks that live out there that maybe have had some struggles with Route 7, and they should be on that committee. I mean, we should tap some of those folks to get some hours out of them if there are traffic counts or other things that have to be done.
Yeah, definitely. I think so too.
Jim, can we turn Jim's volume up a little bit? And
Tried. They're
I
very-
just stay on mute because there's background noise here. But what's up?
Yeah, Catherine, we're getting a little feedback from you. Just a little bit. Oh, she left. That didn't mean.
no, she'll be back. Do we know what citizens will be called upon to do? I
Oh,
mean,
no, I think the scope is still being decided on. I'll get more information to you guys on that later, and we don't have to decide today, just be thinking about it. And when we can really figure out our plan of attack for the in-kind part of that grant, then we can be.
I mean, I would like to be on the committee, certainly. I'm happy to go out and do some counts or do some things, but, you know, our own committee, well, one, I was hoping we might get some more folks on the Complete Streets Committee, so we have more workers to do all the stuff that we're doing already. And, but anyone else at this juncture that wants to, Carla would like to be on the corridor study. Andrew, Jim, Tess, or Catherine, any of you folks, or you want to think about it, or do you have any thoughts today that you would like to be on the corridor study for Route 7?
I probably do. It depends on my availability and what we're looking at, but yeah, I mean, I definitely want to be involved.
Okay.
How involved, I'm not entirely sure yet. But
Okay.
just to put it out there, I will not be submitting on this, so you don't have to worry about that.
I know. Planning for places does a fair amount of linkage studies.
Okay.
Not this one.
So we have Bill, Carla, and Jim Levy as of today, and
Okay.
with more people, we'll get some more.
Yeah.
I mean, there
Bill,
have been people that have spoken.
getting involved as well. I would like to, only because I live right off Route 7, and I can speak for many of my neighbors on this topic.
Or like what we could do, because a lot of people have interest in Route 7, is maybe we just, as it's ramping up, we almost just have a separate meeting, and whoever from the Complete Streets Committee could come that day too. It wouldn't, I guess, have to be so formal if most of you guys really want to help, and then it would just be based on availability.
You certainly could ask the committee or even the tree council or conservation advisory council. I mean, unless we want to just get some other citizens involved or something that they.
Can you ask at a board meeting? I mean, how many people generally go to a regular kind of board meeting?
No, none.
I think we need to know what would have to be done before we through the loop too wide to get volunteers, because the first thing they're going to say is, well, what would I have to do? And I guess till we know that,
Mostly different.
yeah.
Bill and Carla came to the last one. Actually, there's a fair amount of people at the last one.
Okay.
So more to come on that.
Okay, the next thing, well, can I just before we leave with the traffic, the 4.1 million study, that's just in the
Submitted.
pipe, that's being
Reviewed,
reviewed, right? But so we'll know about that.
Yeah, we still don't know about that.
Okay, next one is Grand Boulevard bike lanes. And we had Jim Levy and I attended the meeting at Van Antwerp Middle School where the county invited the neighbors to attend. And they had quite a few folks there, and they also did get a lot of surveys. Oh, by the way, James Lynn has joined us, and our co-chair Ben O'Shea has also joined us. So we need to have those in. And hi, Ben, how are you?
Good, thanks.
Good, thank you. And Peter Knutson indicated that he's gotten input from residents on Grand Boulevard and looked at the responses that people have turned in, and I think I don't know, they said they got quite a few responses. I'd be even interested if they would be willing to share the data on their responses from the surveys that they did with us. They
Yes.
might.
So
But,
but you and I reached out to them and
Yes.
asked them to give us kind of like where they're at with
Yeah.
their draft. And I have also reached out separately. The response that we got from them is that once they finished with their draft, they would share it with us,
Yeah.
but they weren't really willing to share the different alternatives
Yeah.
that they proposed.
Well, I mean, they did propose three alternatives at the meeting that were shared with residents. And I don't know whether we wanted to offer some input. I mean, I'm sort of worried that they're going to look at the input and decide what they've got, and they'll let us know what they decide.
Yeah.
And I'm
And I saw your email about this too, Tess. Was it you? Yeah, it was like road, bike lane, parking. We didn't like that because then you're sort of looking on either different sides when you're biking, which can also aesthetically be
Going
weird.
down the middle
Yeah,
was your question,
Yeah.
because you have to look in both.
Yeah, which is
down the
weird.
middle and-
now, when you say middle, are you talking the middle of the road, or are you talking about the center grass median for putting a well, the grass median? Now, what would trouble you about that if they were willing to look at that?
Because people can come either way while you're going down there. They're just not, I don't think they're expecting someone at a cycling speed to also want to be crossing right in the middle there.
Oh, I see. So this would be between pedestrians and bikes. If you've got
The cars.
cars.
Like, it's fine for a pedestrian, but you can't like really, I don't think biking down the middle is safe. There's just too much crossing happening, where if you're on one side, there's only the crossings happening, but this way you have to be looking that way, and you're at a cycling speed. I mean, unless you're saying.
And the motorists know, oh, here's a bicyclist in the road. Yeah.
You're just continuing down the whole road. If you're in the middle, you have to be stopping a whole bunch of times on your bicycle, and you might as well not even be. You'd be very slow bicycling down the center compared if you're bicycling on the edge, like you would normally be doing.
If we're still interested in pedestrians, I mean, they are asphalt sidewalks. Even if the county does a bike lane, or even if they did a bike path in the center or something, are we still proponents of a concrete sidewalk on Grand Boulevard that would go from Keys out? No, on the side. You'd replace the asphalts that are range between 2 feet, 3 feet, 4 feet with a concrete sidewalk. So,
Yeah.
so we still want to say that's a priority for us. Yeah.
also as part of this project.
No, but we're not giving up. We're still,
So walking, what's currently there is a lot of trip hazards, or there's just
Yeah.
nothing there.
Sometimes there's like a little herd path on a sidewalk that was like 100 years old and has been dirted over.
Yeah,
That's a word.
yeah, but if I had balance issues or something, like
Yeah.
I wouldn't walk
They're
there.
not accessible at all.
so what we sort of heard at the meeting was, I mean, one option was a travel lane and then a bike lane, and then kind of parking over where I think people could maybe, there's no curb, but they could park on the grass or park on the other side of the bike lane. That being one option. That's travel lane, bike lane, parking lane. And then we also had another one that was just a travel lane and a bike lane with no parking, that the county road, presumably they prohibit parking, so people could park in their driveways, or, no parking. And then another option is a travel lane and then parking for cars where there's no
Yeah.
bike lane at all.
But do we really get to influence this at all?
Well, I like to think we do, because then Art Clayman proposed kind of what we said before, what you talked about in the city, which is the travel, then the car parking, then the bike lane is next, so that the bikers are buffered a bit from cars, because we have a car travel lane, then they have a car parking lane, and then on the other side of that is
What
the
if
bike
you-
lane.
They're gonna come back with a proposal,
Mhm.
right?
That's
And
what,
then
Well, that's why I was just wondering if they're still debating these options, you know, does
Or you
this gonna
wanna-
complete streets want to say here? Or if one of them we think is bad business for a couple of reasons,
Right.
like we mentioned, the auto parking and then a bike lane, that do bikers get doored if people park their car and whip open the door, that you hit a biker? Or is the safety really much better that, you know, cars are over there, but you're much better off from a safety perspective if you got the cars buffering, parked cars buffering you from the travel lane? And would you prefer to be on the, which is what they do in New York City?
right,
And-
so we've had it on our agenda, I think, for 3 weeks. And the first week, we had a consensus that it was troubling to have the driving lane, then the parking lane, and then the biking lane. Because like my specific concern would be that the cars are not going to park themselves in the middle of the street with like a big thing over.
Yeah.
They're just gonna pull into the bike lane. And then the people who are in the bike lane are gonna have cars in the bike lane and go around, and I think it's just a mess. And I also think aesthetically, it looks very weird to have a parking lane in the middle of the road with the biking lane on the side. And that is in the minutes. It was, I think Jim backed me up on that, didn't like it. We reached out to the county and said, we're concerned with this option. So that has been relayed to them. And I think that was the consensus of the Complete Streets. What I have not been able to get from them is like the different alternatives that were presented, but they said it's because they're working on the plan from the comments that they received. So they received our comments and they're working on a draft. And I think it would be really good, like, I don't mind, I just made myself a note to reach out again, because we want to see the draft as early as possible to comment on that. But I think we've commented on those things that were presented from the public, maybe not formally because we missed the timeline a little, which was a little annoying because they didn't like notify us and we just barely made a
One, they
meeting.
didn't think there was a meeting.
No, I know, I
Just
didn't know
over
there was a meeting either. I couldn't attend and Linda ended up going. But I think that we were able to at least tell them we didn't like that one part. And then the next step for us would be when they have a draft, maybe we even make a formal recommendation from the committee. But I think right now, where I've talked to them a couple of times, is that they are ready, they have their idea, they're gonna do it, and then we show us the draft. And if it's like very bad, then we may to be like vocally fighting it. But like if it's good and it's, you know, they've incorporated the comments from people, and we can just say, yay, we're glad. It's just, we don't really know.
I think they're on the same side of this, Bill.
Oh.
Don't worry so much.
Oh.
Just be patient.
Patient.
Well,
And
I have been,
I'll follow up with them again.
you know, 20, 25 years in government, and, you know, sometimes if you want your input, you got to get it in early, because people will make decisions, and sometimes when they're focused on a decision, it's made, and it's much harder pushing water uphill than it is trying to shape things when they're still in flux. And even just the conversation that Laura's had, you know, may have modified their position to go with the travel car parking and then the bike lane on the other side. And
But
then, yes. Yeah, yes, yes, yes. Same. And, you know, one other thought is really they've survived without too much parking there. They could just continue to prohibit parking and have a travel lane and a bike lane. Now, of course, there are some residents that live there that have short driveways, and, you know, if company comes over to visit, they've got to go to a side street to park and walk down, or try to squeeze into their driveway, which, you know, they wouldn't like too much. But, you know, if on the whole, it's safer to have a travel lane and a bike lane, that's
Just
painted.
There's cars that regularly park in that.
Okay, I haven't seen it, but
I saw. They did, oh,
That's not a
you
bad
know what?
idea.
That was
That's not a bad
Lexington.
idea, I think.
It was Lexington, but it looked like they regularly park in the grassy median.
okay. I mean, there's no other choice.
I know, it was interesting.
Okay. So we're gonna wait and see
We'll
what the
reach out
county,
again.
or we don't have a choice. Well, yeah. Yes,
Because essentially,
okay,
so what we need to do is
yeah,
really just see if we can get the draft as early as possible.
yes. And I did appreciate one of the things, that they gave us at the meeting, which was, improving motorist safety within the corridor is important as the crash rate on Grand Boulevard in this section is currently 2.75 times the statewide average. So, I mean, that's something we'll probably put in the comp plan to say, we need to pay attention to Grand Boulevard because there's some statistical information here, that it's much higher than other places. And so,
I think I may have told you guys this once, but I was in the chief of police offices once when we were trying to do a demonstration project on Grand Boulevard, trying to get them. This is when we originally had on Grand Boulevard, and then we had to switch it over to Dexter. And was trying to get him to let us do the demonstration project on Grand Boulevard. And while I was standing in the office, a car crash came in over the radio, and he was like, "Nope." But I think the reason for that is the angle of the intersections are really bad on Grand Boulevard.
Yeah.
And how to fix that, I'm not 100% sure, but maybe more painting and more, I don't know, the angle of the intersections on Grand Boulevard. So when you're in the city of Schenectady, they're pretty perpendicular, but it curves as it comes into Niskuna. And then all the streets are still parallel, but Grand Boulevard has a little bit more of a curve, which makes the angles of the intersections just really tough.
and when you mentioned
And
Dexter,
people don't have like total mobility
Yeah.
in their necks, like, even when I drive, like this morning I drove my son to school and I was like, tell me if anyone's coming, I don't wanna look.
That's like a full
It
rotation and
is,
then
it's like,
some.
it is.
Yeah, it's true.
thank you once again for putting together the bike rodeo on Dexter Island test.
It was a good-
It was
it was a good
terrific bike
So
rodeo.
if you do that,
And that was a big success. Both of them were a success. Actually, all three of them. Anyway. Okay, anyone else want to say anything about Grand Boulevard? Okay, next one is request to Schenectady County for sidewalk on Knott Street from Baker to Lexington Parkway. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I just feel lucky that, Paul Sheldon came to the Grand Boulevard. So we got a chance to talk to him in person, which I think made the difference. He was like, "Oh, Laura's got a design. Well, send it to me." And we sent it to him. And then, Carla and Catherine both implored our county legislator to do something. And Paul Sheldon called the town supervisor and said, "You want this?" And she said, "Yes, we do." And so, we're gonna get a segment filled in on that street so that, that hill will have a sidewalk there. And so that's a good thing.
Yeah, so maybe when we reach out to them about the bike lanes, you haven't heard anything from them since that conversation. We can also ask them if they have a timeline for that.
Then, we have, any planning projects? Do you have things you want to discuss on that?
Yeah, so I don't have maps for 3900 State Street and 3905 State Street. They haven't formally gone to the planning board yet, but what I was thinking is if you guys have a chance, and be really careful on State Street, like pull over and look, is in that area, if you see something that we might need, there's two projects that are very close together there. And so I know if you guys remember 3900 State Street is the Kia, is it Kia?
Yeah.
Yeah, Kia automotive dealership. We had originally reviewed a project where they were going to remove several single family homes, and we got them to put in a sidewalk on Fagan, but that project was withdrawn. And this
Oh,
is
really?
kind of a new, the planning board wasn't supportive of all the single family homes being removed.
Yeah.
So there might be a new one that's coming in. I told them originally the sidewalk on Fagan Ave was a big deal to complete streets. So obviously we may need to push that again, but maybe there's something even at 3905. So if we just want to go down and kind of look at it holistically, to be ready to make recommendations probably at the next meeting.
Are these the same thing, 3900 and 3905?
What, different sides of the road? Yeah, they're on different sides of the road. Yeah.
Are they gonna, put their trucks on somewhere else?
So part of the original proposal was to have a truck unloading zone inside of the parcel. If they come, we'll still have them do that. But technically, if they're unloading in the street and you see them, you should say please, because they're not supposed to be doing that.
I just felt bad for the people on that street that were complaining.
Oh, yes, that wasn't Fagan, that was the northern one, which is. Amherst. Yeah. I haven't gotten complaints recently, but that doesn't mean they're not doing it.
Okay.
I was
So
wondering, is the golf course development going to happen?
Still nothing's changed since they got their seeker determination that there were positive impacts that they needed to review.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, nothing's changed since then. We kind of been poking the developer to tell us one way or another if they're gonna move forward. But he hasn't yet.
is it fair to say that there's modest, maybe substantial amount of public neighborhood opposition to that?
There is. But that's neighborhood opposition in and of itself does not give the planning board the ability to say no to a project. It has to be very data driven. Yeah.
Going on.
Yeah, yeah. Fair to say, but nothing further is happening with that project right now.
When we did leave it before, though, I mean, the planning board was at least receptive to a walk path exiting the project. People could get out of the East Country Club neighborhood, go through there and get over and around.
Yeah, they were definitely.
That was still.
You guys had a couple connections. The big one was from Country Club Drive to Rothner. That was the big connection that was included in the proposal. And then that was just a multi-use path. And then the other one we were looking at was for internal to that project, other connections that they could make, which the planning board was also supportive of.
Yeah, because I didn't want a road because I thought it would make even more traffic go through.
But they were okay with multi-use paths. And the big one was the Country Club Estate to Ruffner, because we've had that on our complete streets map.
I know, that's why,
Forever.
that's why I kind of wanted to happen, so.
Just so we could get that connection. Yeah, I know. We said that was definitely a public benefit of that project, but so far it's not moving forward.
Next item is 2024 Complete Streets Goals. And I, at the last meeting, Tess moved that we, with the input from the neighbors on Crimson Court and Van Antwerp Road, that we put in an item, a priority item for Van Antwerp Road. That in, I think it's number 8 or number 7. Number 9, okay. And the town has scheduled a meeting with the residents and county legislators and I think town officials. There is a town meeting that I got invited to for April 17, I believe, but we got input from them, and I think that one of the things that I think needs to happen is we have 18 county roads in the town, and they almost all have a narrow right of way. And but we're getting input from residents that they'd like to be able to use these collector roads to get around on bikes and walking just as cars use them. And so it almost seems to me like we almost need the town and the county, independent of which road we're talking about, need to have a discussion about, well, how are we going to approach these so that you know, what will be the criteria that we'll look at to decide we're going to try to get some grants, or we're going to use some county money, or to do something here. And you know, I almost think that you know, same for a sidewalk somewhere. It's almost, well, you know, what are the pedestrian generators? Are they schools? Are they work? Are they shopping? You know, that's a factor. And then you know, what are some safety things that are part of it that the police department may be collecting some data on? Well, what's the volume of cars? What's the average speed of the cars? What's the speed of cars at the 85th percentile? How many accidents have happened? How many serious accidents have happened? Which, you know, we're getting data on Route 7. But then, you know, some other things we need to know as well. What's the width of the right of way at this? I mean, is it it's 40 feet. So you go from the middle of the road out 20 feet and you've got a drainage ditch or holes or what, so that, you know, you still have to find another 10 feet of space to put a side path on a county road. And so how does that get done? Is that ask for easements? Do you condemn property? Do you ask residents to agree? Or I think with 18 county roads, and I know they worked on them, you know, in applause, but it's almost like I think our county legislators, Paul Sheldon and others, almost need to think about, well, what are the issues? I mean, a lot of these county roads have similar issues, and so and how much neighborhood support or resistance do you have? And you know, kind of like, what are the criteria we're going to use to look at these things and make some decisions about, well, what are the priorities and what are we going to do on some of them? And I mean, I think the county road right away is pretty narrow. That's going to almost be the first answer for all of them. And it's a tough question. Like, well, where do you go? Where do you go from there?
So, Bill,
Yes.
but that's not necessarily, I mean, that's an issue, but when we're ranking goals and projects, I feel like,
Well, these are based on safety.
right, yeah, but, so you made a couple changes here, which I like. Number one, Route 7 road safety and traffic calming measures, you've updated it to reflect that we got the linkage study grant and that we've asked for the 4.1 million grant.
Yes.
And that we're going to continue to provide support and recommendations to town county officials who are working with NISDOT on the safety. So I think that's good. That's still our number one goal, and we've been working really hard on it. So I like that. The second one, to submit grant applications, we changed it so that it doesn't only say safe streets and roads for all. It lists a couple of them. And that will continue to support grants applications.
I thought didn't I
Yeah.
switch it back to more general?
Yeah, you
meaning?
switched it to more general, which is
Yeah.
good. I think we could probably even add the Climate Smart Communities grant in this list. That was what we submitted for the sidewalks a month or two ago that we didn't make it. But I had a breakdown of the grant submittal with DC, and Jim was on that call with me. And I think,
College.
oh, is that what that's supposed to be?
Yeah.
The Climate Smart thing? Okay, and I really
Sorry.
think that we will be ready for that next round. I mean, there was really just one piece missing on that grant, and she did say it was coming out again, so
So then second.
yeah, okay, but this is priorities, so.
Yes, it is.
So I feel like if you guys we'll switch quality to Climate Smart, that's what that's supposed to be. And then Grand Boulevard, like, we just had this discussion that we're supporting Schenectady County for their project with new curbing on both sides of Grand Boulevard and a painted bike lane. But I think here we probably need to add, continue to request concrete sidewalks on both sides of Grand Boulevard. We
Yeah.
just had that.
I think I did. Did I leave that in
Yeah,
there?
put that in there. So we'll put that in there. The push button crosswalk on Knott Street, this is
Both sides of Grand Boulevard.
curbing is,
Oh, didn't I say curbing? All right.
no,
Yeah.
but
Oh, I'm sorry.
curbing is just the.
Oh, yeah, I
entrance
thought I
road.
changed the sidewalks. Yeah, I'm sorry. We need to fix that.
Okay.
Sidewalks.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I didn't even know what the curbing, I don't even think they're actually supporting curbing, I wasn't sure.
Actually, we should, I think you should drop curbing and
Yeah, 'cause
concrete sidewalks.
curbing actually limits the.
Yeah,
off-street
yeah, yeah.
parking. Okay,
Let's
so
switch that
curbing's
from
supposed to
curbing
be
to
sidewalk.
concrete sidewalks.
Okay. All right, then we don't even need.
Well, let me ask the committee. This is kind of current because they've got the grant, so now they can do something. But is Grand Boulevard ahead of Rosendale or Van Antwerp? I mean, is it properly positioned in terms of our priority list here, would you say, Grand Boulevard? I mean, I left it up there just because, you know, the county's got grant money and they're ready to do something, so they're just asking us for some input on painted bike lane or whatever. So it's relevant for us to speak because they're open to hearing things on this.
Do not consider it. So that would be a reason to make Roseville. I think that
Okay.
things are happening on Grand Boulevard even without us or anything. So like,
But my impression is that the Grand Boulevard project is a lot closer to being completed.
Yeah, but that could mean, Bill, we could do your heart. Or we could do an ingrown toenail.
So I have
And, but the toenail's closer to being done, so let's do that. It's more like, no, safety is a bigger issue, so.
a question about that though, like, are they meant to be in order of priority? Because
Well, the infrastructure ones are, they're meant to be in priority order so that.
There's actually a lot when you look at appendix,
Yeah.
or the spreadsheet you have, there's a lot of discrepancies between this and actually.
Yeah. Well, I think part of it was, we decided to keep this list manageable. I mean, I'm just sort of, we have 2 or 3 for the school, 2 or 3 for the county, 2 or 3 for the state, and they're over here. And I mean, I could make this 50 pretty easy. But people might say, Bill, this was supposed to be 10. We've noticed the infrastructure now. It's climbed up to 12 or whatever. So, but I think I did that. I mean, that was one of the things we wanted to do with this list is, kind of prioritize it a little bit. And
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if we may not be able to prove it today, but if people want to, visit it again for another section, or if you look at it right now, I mean, could you live with this order right here? I mean, if we move Grand Boulevard down behind Van Antwerp or,
Like,
well, we did, yes and no. I mean, yes, we have done it and they have put up the barricades and some stuff, but Crescent Road squaring up with Clifton Park Road has not been done. I mean, it's what Tess was describing. You got to crank your head back this way to look down Clifton Park Road to see what kind of traffic is coming over there. And I mean, part of our recommendation was trimming some of the brush on Clifton Park Road where Crescent is right there. So it's a T. You pull up and you look left and right, and then you proceed out in the intersection. And that was still something that, as a matter of fact, it's not up to the Broken Inn to do that really at this point. It's just, we wanted to look at that traffic coming out of the alley behind the co-op block and traffic coming on Crescent Road up to the intersection and saying, are we happy with the way this is working now? And it seemed to me, I mean, we could drop it from the list if we like, but it seemed like there was another piece, which is people coming up Crescent through Clifton Park Road. And part of it now is people can still kind of float out of the intersection and there's still pedestrians and bikes there. So, I mean, my question is really, is it still worth talking about, or have we done everything we can do, or would the
is
committee?
there funding left, or are they pretty much done?
No, the highway department could do this. All they need is instruction from Jamie Puccioni or the real boss, Laura Robertson, to go out there and trim the trees on the corner. I guess. Well, let me ask you, Jim, or Ben O'Shea, live in that neighborhood. Do you think we need to do a little bit more of the intersection of Crescent and Clifton Park Road to ask for some trimming of the trees on that corner? And so Crescent is more of a T at Clifton Park Road and Crescent.
I mean, I was advocating for something like that before. I think this work that's been done now has helped a little bit in terms of calming things a little bit and slowing it down to push the vehicles back. So it's narrowed the roadway a little bit. But I was actually just pulling up the tax map, and I mean, there's room there to do it, but to round it off is either going to require changing the alignment of the road or taking a little bit of the corner of the property. Clearing the trees there would probably be on that person's property unless the right of way goes back in a ways off of the road here. But I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, yeah, I think the whole place could still use some work, but I don't know if it's the highest priority or not. I know kids still walk through there, but I do think it's better than it used to be.
How about you, Ben O'Shea? Should we close the book on that intersection or keep pushing?
I honestly, I don't know what we can do other than maybe little minor things, and I don't know if it's going to have the impact that we're looking for.
Okay.
Actually, to be honest, Bill, the tree clearing would probably get people to speed up even more, because then they're going to be able to see even further around the corner coming off of Balltown. And that's the movement that really has me concerned is the people coming off on Crescent onto Clifton Park, just blow right through that. So if we clear it, honestly, it would make even a better clear sight triangle.
So
It might be
you'd
even
like
faster.
to see the trees cleared out, at least on the town right away?
No, not clear. I think it would open up that view shed even more and allow people to go even faster. I think if we're going to do something, it has to be more
Well, then let's
comprehensive.
drop Crescent Road. Good point. Thank you, Kelly.
Because it's changed quite a bit since this, I mean, you could say evaluate the current treatment and see if more are needed in the future.
Seems to me like the committee, just keep the trees, everything else has been done, so let's drop.
I was just going to say real quick, not that it's what anyone wants to do, but if you were to make Crescent Road a one-way heading towards Balltown, you'd get rid of all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, street clearing alone isn't it. It's got to be something more comprehensive, more significant, I think. Somehow. But we did
It's
take a
just-
look at that, Laura. I mean,
so,
I mean, I don't want to take up a spot because there's other projects that can get on our priority list. So if it's not a priority, it's not a priority. Doesn't mean we still can't talk about it. And we still can. So let's drop it from the priority list. Yes. Yeah,
but it doesn't mean we can't still.
talk about it. Sure.
Oh, it's not there.
We submitted for a grant, but it didn't get funded yet, but we're gonna resubmit on that one. Okay. Okay, so one thing that I would think is the push button crosswalk on Notch Street. I know that it's a priority for people, but there are push button crosswalks around. Like, what if we switched Rosendale and brought that? So it would go Route 7, Civic Grant applications, Grand Boulevard, because we think that's happening in the future and we want to keep it top of mind, and then Rosendale there.
I mean, I've been pushing for
I
the.
know that you guys like that crosswalk, but you know, every time I bring it up to the county, they installed the one on.
There's just a lot of kids that cross.
There are a lot of kids that cross there, but I think that the county wants to see if the crosswalk on, I think it's Clifton Park will be sufficient or not.
Well, it's really
Not-
across from Lang's. It's really not on Clifton Park Road, but
Right.
it's at Lang's Pharmacies.
Drop it
it's
off the
been-
list. I just think that when I talk to the county about it, they still want to monitor their improvements before they look at adding any more crosswalks to the area. I don't think we should drop it from the top 10 list, but I just think while the county's evaluating it, like, I think you could put Marion for.
Okay.
Or I mean Rosendale,
Yeah. I wish the kids would be smart enough to walk a block down.
but they don't.
Yeah, that's just,
So
that you're gonna
crosswalk
say,
on
Chief?
that is gonna go down to underneath the Van Antwerp, right? It's gonna move down.
and how would we see if it's improved or not? Like, are they gonna count the kids crossing or?
You know, I think that I have to go back into my emails or talk to him, but Jordan was asking us to do pedestrian counts somewhere. I'm not sure if it was Regent or not.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, because,
Well, we still have those counts. We could redo them, but I mean, there's still kids that go
well, has the
to.
difference since the ones we put in?
No, it hasn't.
Okay.
See if less people are crossing there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I understand that. It's a legitimate point that maybe those kids are like, oh, I could go one block over here and cross and.
I don't think it's changed, but if you think we should redo the counts, we can redo them.
I'll have to go see what the chief was asking us, but, and Jim, I know you had something to say. I also think the county is a little hesitant to put too many push button crosswalks too close together.
Yeah,
And I was just gonna say, I've been pushing for it back when we were talking about funding and thought it was gonna happen. I know they've had a lot of pushback from the county, so, and we do have a change over at the co-op area now. And I'll be honest with you, I'm walking my kids every day now, and I think the kids just walk up the block they live on. You know, there are a lot of kids that cross that region, but to be honest with you, that's the busier road. If they were to come over one to Valencia, they could cross the road where I do at Valencia, and then they have the sidewalk, all the way down to Crescent or down to the co-op. Region is where a lot of them cross still, but it is a bit much busier road, and there's no sidewalks for the kids there. The buses go up there to get back to the bus garage. I think they're always empty, running back up from the elementary school and the middle school. And, it is what it is. There's no sidewalk.
Region is
But it's-
important, and I also think not that many kids cross, since I live at the corner of Knott and Clifton Park Road. They don't come up to the pharmacy to cross there.
No.
They don't even use that crosswalk. They just scoot across Knott Street, go on Crescent, go down to the high school, jaywalk across Balltown Road and go to the entrance to the high school. But there are a lot of kids that still use Crescent. They go across Knott, down Region, and then go up Story to go to the middle school or wherever. And, same with high school kids. Region is a busy street with a lot of kids on it. They go the other way and they take Rankin to go over to the high school or walk up the sidewalk and go over on Crescent.
Well, it's the path of least inconvenience, I think, that humans like to take.
Yeah,
No,
that's
I
what I
don't
was
think we
gonna
should take it off. I'm just wondering if the feasibility is lower right now because we tried it with the county. a
Well,
couple
let's move it down and we'll
Yeah.
do some more counts. So let's move it down. We'll keep it, but move it down.
Because we've had a lot of visibility on the Roosevelt Road and the Van Antwerp Road, and honestly, Cornelius and Birchwood, like those ones, like we submitted grants for, we've been talking to legislatures on, like we have meetings about, like, I just think those ones should just, if this is being ranked on priority,
Yeah.
I would put those ones ahead of it.
And to be honest, that's where the elementary school kids are walking. It's high school and a couple middle school kids that are crossing Knott Street, for instance. So you do have older kids who should be more adept at crossing a road, that are crossing Knott Street. The other ones do have the elementary school kids with the traffic and the buses and everything else. So
Yeah, the Cornelius
if
and
we had to,
Yeah,
if we had to start nitpicking, of how to prioritize things, I would probably prioritize toward elementary schools than say the middle school or high school kids.
Agreed. Yeah.
yeah, like go Route 7 to make grant application, Birchwood, Cornelius, Grand Boulevard, Rosendale, Van Antwerp.
Out. When you,
Although honestly, you have like a general goal of pedestrian bike path added to your schools.
yeah,
That's just a general one.
can I ask something else on Cornelius? I did get a letter from a gentleman who was encouraging a sidewalk on on Nicholas Avenue. And I noticed when I looked at this, that the grant, did we pay for Cornelius starting from Upper Union? I mean, we showed the sidewalk here, but this sidewalk's already there.
No, I don't think that was in the cost estimates.
I hope we're sure. And
Well,
if, well, see, it shows it here. I don't know. Is it part of the lineal feet or the cost estimate? No. Yeah, this is all that. So here's the connection right here. But what I'd like to, when I measured it, this is about 1 inch here and Nicholas is about 1 inch here, that we could do, if we already put this into the cost estimate. Some people said there are lots of kids that walk on Nicholas too, that we could do a sidewalk on, as part of this project. If we resubmit in July, we could do Nicholas from Ray Street over to Plum to get to that school, so that people that walk in this one, Troy Place or wherever, walk along here, and then we'll go down and get to Van Antwerp Middle School by coming through here, getting on the sidewalk and going down. And also just the kids that come to Hillside over here, that walk up Nicholas and then, all the way here and then go to the school. So that we'd ask for this road, but then we'd also ask for this one.
And they speed away on Nicholas, and it's pretty ridiculous, because then there are the kids in the neighborhood who are working on Nicholas. And then the other thing you get on Nicholas is the people come in through Plum from Van Antwerp and onto Plum, and then they go into Nicholas and they cut out and they jog over to Balltown, and they also speed down Nicholas. Sometimes they'll speed through the streets through here, but more often they speed through Nicholas. So yeah, because you get the whole flow, people flowing into the elementary school and flowing out.
So I'd like to go out and just maybe sit out there, do some counts to see, somebody up here on Cornelius to see, well, how many kids walk down the street to go into Hillside Elementary that are walking on Cornelius, and how many kids are walking on Nicholas to get to Hillside Elementary. So you'd get both the counts coming in on Plum off of Van Antwerp, but the counts also coming on Nicholas that come over from Troy Place or whatever that come in there. And, and I also want to look at the lineal feet and the cost estimates. And so if we already put that dollar amount into the cost estimate and the town board has set aside their 50% match, it wouldn't be that much more money to put the east side of Nicholas into this project.
I can look at it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll look at it.
And Jim, do you have any feeling for how many kids are coming on Cornelius or how many kids are coming on Nicholas to get to Hillside Elementary? Or
I think Tesla's over there, right? I defer to her. I didn't come in that way. I came in from the north.
20 kids on each of them.
Yeah.
I mean, but they're little kids,
Yeah.
It's not my kids anymore, but it used to be my kids. So.
Well, anyway, when I saw this, it made me wonder, so I would like to
Yeah.
look at it. And even our leader, well, he's saying you should definitely take a look at Nicholas Island.
Pedestrian traffic in our neighborhood.
Yep.
And, even when it's not school time, like what I just described, people cutting from Van Antwerp to get to Union is happening, and there's a lot of walkers in the neighborhood. So I really enjoy walking on that little segment on Plum Street now. Like whenever I'm there, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go on the sidewalk side. I feel so special.
Well, we do have a traffic unit now, so maybe Route 7 doesn't get it all, that there maybe could be a couple days where we ask the chief to put an officer over in this neighborhood and write some tickets. Good.
Maybe got pulled over. Let me go.
Did you flash your complete streets ID? Is that what we fit your list?
It's going a little too fast, but he let me go.
Okay.
Just education and working with people that work even better.
Yeah.
Just quickly, folks, looking at this, I mean, are we okay keeping bike path segments on Hillside on the list? I mean, I like that a lot. And utility quarters, I mean, that's still something that we want to continue to explore. And I'm sorry we don't have Elise Corbin, who, was kind of pushing that, but I think that's really a terrific idea because it's another way of getting around town. And
Would you do really orders, specifically? Or do you have any,
number 12. Yeah. Oh,
which quarters?
well,
Okay.
There's a quarter back there. I think there's a way that theoretically you could connect the pool all the way to Balltown or on the quarter. Okay.
and River Road Park is another one.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, is there ever a chance that it could be paved though? Because when you look at it, it's like a lot of overgrown.
Yeah, first we have to get permission to
So
be
it's like-
there and just ride our bikes on the gravel trail that's there. And so the utility is aware that, oh, people use these and, bad things are not happening. And then as we move along, then the next step is to say, well, can we trim the brush or can we get it paved? That's a definite goal. And we are actually,
Great challenges, too.
yeah, if we had some folks interested, we could go to East Greenbush or someplace where they do have a system where they use the utility quarters so we can see it and see what it is. And then we know what to ask for. And we'd be able to talk to the folks in East Greenbush to say, well, what did you have to agree to? Or what did you
That's a
ask
good
for or whatever? And then we learn that. Then we know how it's been done elsewhere. And
And the
go
people in
from
those
here.
little isolated neighborhoods, so they can do it too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that would be, yeah.
I mean, they're just kind of like highways. They're grass, overgrown. And probably you'd only start out with a bike with knobby tires at the beginning, but then maybe you get some gravel or asphalt and you get a 3-speed and you just move on for it. And also, is there one on Shannon Boulevard that's over there? Were we talking about
Usually,
a utility quarter over off of Shannon?
oh, we can leave it out there.
Okay, let's do that. Okay, anything else? I mean, if we make these modifications,
Okay,
can we do these in next meeting or a draft or?
so we've given up on it being called the 2023 comprehensive plan and moved it to the 2025 comprehensive plan.
Oh, it's 2020. It's early. We didn't adopt 2023 till December of 24, so we're still.
So I'll just update that because we did change it to the 2020. Because also it's just kind of nice for it to be 2027. Anyway, we changed it. Jamie and I like the 2025 because it's very like.
Strong.
Yeah, the safety signage on Mohawk Hudson Bike Path. Actually, Schenectady County is putting some up, or they just sent me a draft of what they're putting up, so I can send that to you guys. I think it's okay to leave it on here generally, but that may be largely completed by the end before. I'll send you what they're doing there. Everything else looks fine to me though.
Well, let's do some additions and corrections and then we'll revisit this.
Sweet. Cool.
April 22nd.
Yeah. So we'll try to have that sort of final for April, so you can vote.
Okay.
So that little segment on Balltown Road where between the Craig School and JCC, why did they, why isn't that on the priorities?
It should be on the priorities.
And that would also connect, you're talking about maybe connecting to JCC. I think someone was mentioning, maybe James is mentioning that there's like a possible connection through the back area to the other neighborhoods on that side as well.
Can you put it out here on the big map?
So I didn't know about it, but somebody else, I think it was Jim Webbins.
There's the JCC.
Yeah, I don't know. if
I mean,
there's
there
an
is,
official
you
connection.
come down here where you go through the
Mhm.
apartments here and then you get out to Knoll Road down here. So once you get to the JCC, there's a roadway that comes back here that gets you down to Knowles Road. And then, you know, if we had a pathway coming here and then we had, you know, a side path that went on Providence Avenue, then you get to Hillside Avenue and you can get
Right.
places down there.
Yeah,
So how do you go in the back way? Do you go on Knowles
I
Road?
go through, there's like a retirement housing.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
the
so it's
neighborhood.
on- the neighborhood, yeah. Actually, I think the JCC and probably Brene Brook would give us permission if we wanted to ask could bicyclists go on this road right here. So that if you had the JCC Craig School entrance lined up here, you know, it would be a way to come back this way and then also go over to this neighborhood, over here and get access back to the community center or whatever. But
The justification for like pedestrian, it brings more people in versus just.
I thought we had
I
Craig
think
School on here before. I don't know where
It's strange. I can
We
take
gotta
the
put it back
language
on.
out of our priority letters. So, okay, this is what I was thinking. We have pedestrian and bike paths added to this unit schools.
So I was gonna say, put it
Let's put
specifically.
our subcategories in there,
Yeah.
and then we can do road note in for the county roads, sort of county roads, and then you can have outside and utility borders.
Cornelius and Birchwood separately. Okay.
There,
Oh, so, but won't the Craig School stuff be its own item?
yes, I think we should.
Okay, good. Okay, good. Yeah. Okay. Okay, good. I think so.
Sidewalk or side path on Lincoln Road. So the concrete sidewalk
right.
on Balltown Road between Sunoco and Rankin Road.
Yeah, I think those are, when I have the language on Balltown Road, and I mentioned kind of two big things. One is the area at Craig School. And then also, really, once we get the side pass, say, down to the CVS, then the next big project I mentioned there was just getting a side path that would go all the way from CVS to State Street. And so you'd go on the east side, you'd go along the reservoir and along the Mohawk Golf Course. You'd also go from Upper Union down to Route 7, all would be on the left side. Then you'd cross over Route 7. Okay, so that's, so on those two big things I'm saying, but in the intersections thing that I'm gonna talk about, there are other kind of smaller things I'd say. In other words, if we were talking to the state, we'd mention that, but, so these would be things like, hey, you know, we wanna,
Okay, but so let's plow through that. Maybe it won't be final.
well, see what you're saying is, no,
The
get up the list of 50 things and let's fit them in here.
Well,
But
I don't know.
we can't do that. We're trying to stay with the 10 biggies. And
Just kind of doing the ranking because it's the high school. Because we got elementary school, middle school.
Yeah, there's so many kids in Rankin,
Yeah,
so many cars.
I think I can add that. I'll see if I can squeeze it in there.
Thanks, Kyle.
And also that was very important to Elise too, and she was. But we like having you
Her memory. James, what grade are you in?
I'm a student.
so we got to get your input in now.
I'll be here
These people
in December too.
Okay. Makes me happy.
Also, can I ask, number 2 on the public application, conducting a demonstration projects? Okay, first of all, it says in 2022, so I assume it's outdated. Is that something that's still being planned?
Yes. Counting on James Lynn to be the chairman of that committee, said it started. We haven't been able to find him, but now that he showed up, we're gonna get something done. That's a good thing. How about if we talked about, are we done? Are we done? Go.
I mean, we only have like 8 minutes, but the one that we keep working on is the Lexington app bike lane. Like it's darn close. Like we probably could pull that off this year if we wanted to do
Okay.
this.
I don't. I think we're conflicted about that.
Oh, really? Okay, but we don't have time to talk about it today. Yes, it should still be on our priority list.
But we do need to talk about a demonstration project and, you know, the one that I suggested, you know, at an earlier meeting
Yeah, the loop.
is the loop that we have it at town hall. You go down the bike path, you
No,
come,
we have the loop. still.
okay, so listen.
Is a good one too. We talked about it because then there's parking at town hall and you can do kind of more of a festival.
Yeah.
So like there's a lot of advantage to that one. I think people like the loop.
And you get training at 2 push button crosswalks.
Yeah.
The one across from Blatnick Park, and then you go down and you get to St. David's.
Yeah.
And so we would have people at each one of those to supervise people crossing, but then also in terms of just training on pedaling, it's not just go down Orchard Park a couple blocks and then come back. We've got a good sized loop for, you know, older kids to do and even younger kids. to do.
Yeah. I
And two challenges.
And two, you could really do either of them. And there's a lot of advantages to having it start at town hall. Like people are used to gathering there. You could have little festivals and the bike.
Well,
thing.
plus we could have some food.
Mhm.
We could get somebody to do the bike repair thing.
Yeah,
We can get some bike people to lead everything all the way down to Blatnick Park. It's,
it's easier to
Water-
execute than the
yeah, it's
Lexington
easier
one.
to execute and,
Mostly Trish would probably just organize all our Arbor Day material. And
Yeah. but we do need to get some, is this June or when would we do this? Well, we do it while school's still in session? In which case,
then
it's,
June would be good
Yeah.
because it's nice weather and the kids are amped
Very
up
June.
about
yeah.
like summer
But we
break.
need to
and
get
it'd
some
be a great
people
time to
started
get them
now
together.
so that they can call a bike repair shop to come. If there's somebody who wants to play music, somebody who wants pizza, if we're gonna have booths, if we're gonna set up our own booth, if we're gonna give away some hats, if we're gonna do whatever, you know, we need some people to get started on.
we found those somewhere. Oh, yeah.
I guess I'm fishing for somebody that wants to chair this and kind of lead it along a little bit.
Trish can probably help because she's an amazing event organizer and we have her now.
Well, we got James and we got Trish.
I'm happy to like be part of that. I'm also wondering, since Niskade is around May.
Oh, so
maybe-
I think June's a good month because you're getting them right
Really?
before school's ending. So it's one last like big thing that a lot of the kids can do together before they break for school for summer break.
So like early
I
June.
think you get a lot of kids to do it.
Who will call the police department?
Oh, we can.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh my God.
very much supports our
Activity.
demonstration projects because they can come and do some police outreach, which they're supposed to do for something.
It's good rapport.
Yeah, they
with the
do.
community.
They
It's
have
the
liked
positive
both of our festivals.
Showing.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
They're
they-
very supportive of them.
Yeah, they're good.
He's also, he likes to come back in the day and instruct
He
on
loved
bike safety
radio.
and.
He was the best bike radio.
I mean, do we still have, I mean, if we have the town hall, then we should, everyone always really likes the bike rodeo for some reason. Do we still have the
Yeah.
pencils?
I think, yeah, oh yeah, we do still have them.
We should just pick a date.
Yeah, we should.
I mean,
I think we can make that work.
I'll help with it. I'll tell you,
Okay.
the mountain bike club isn't as big as it was. So that's a little bit harder for having like a lot of the kids graduated that were in it.
But we do have a lot of logistics at town hall site that we and had to work on for Dexter that are already in place. So it's just a little bit of organization. Yeah,
Bus extra too. Do you think you could ask for the bus again, Jim? Didn't you get us the
Uh,
bus?
CDTA.
Yeah.
I can do the initial outreach, but it's gonna end up coming back to you, Laura, because you're gonna have to do it as the municipal rep.
You got us that bus last time.
No one trusts me as a private consultant to do anything, so it all comes back to you.
Okay. I thought that was cool because if you have nervousness about
I agree.
taking your bike on the bus, you don't want to be fumbling around with it at the bus stop. It's very stressful, but if you practice loading and unloading your bike, then you'd feel a little more.
And we had the rental bikes there too, which I thought.
Yeah, that
Who
was
had
fun.
to ask for that?
I just did that. I think I did that one. I thought Jim did the bus, but maybe we can do all those things again. Okay,
I
so
can-
Trish, Tess, and James work on a date.
I was looking, I was like, well, the 16th is Father's Day, so I was thinking, are we thinking a Saturday?
Yeah, it's a Saturday.
So I mean, we
usually.
could do the 15th
Or the 8th.
or the 8th.
I'll,
Well,
Yeah.
we could put both those dates out and see what's more available for people to come. You know, like when we're hanging out.
what's the last day of school?
Late,
Late.
It's weird because there's regents and finals tests,
but
but you're done
Like,
by the 17th.
the last day of school for elementary and middle
It's
school
gonna
is
be
the 24th.
Yeah.
24th.
They have to
But
go
yeah,
on the 24th.
yeah. That's good.
The high schoolers have here.
Yeah, weird. It's-
Let me check those dates to see if the mountain biking club is having a race on either one of them, because like a lot of those people will come out and help. They can. They're just, it's not as many of them as when Dexter happened, because they did the repair stuff there too.
Awesome. Didn't you bring sodas? Wasn't that you who brought?
Pizza and sodas.
I
And we have musicians.
know,
Should we
I
mark it down for pizza and so, no, just kidding.
You can mark me down for pizza and sodas.
Okay, I'm just gonna plow us through the meeting dates and times to attach to your packet. I didn't print them out for today. But, I know that not everybody can make all of those dates, but it was the closest thing we could do.
Did you update them again? Because I had put them all in my
No, they were
calendar.
the same as the last time. you
Okay,
did that.
perfect. Good.
But this is the whole calendar. Bill wanted to make sure everybody had it. Okay, so we just talked about the demonstration projects. I still have to do the letter to the Winnie Road people. We still have to schedule a meeting with Rory Freeman. And Jim and I had a good debriefing and we really want to submit the Climate Smart grant again.
I want to submit it too, and I'm willing to go get some more letters from folks. You know, if there's an opportunity to squeeze the west side or the east side of Nicholas into this,
Yeah.
I'd like to do it. I'd like to do it. And I'd even like to do it anyway. I mean, I don't know if the town board, if we knew what the bump up in the cost, if they'd say, well, but yeah, and if anybody wants to, I mean, I'd like to do some counts on Nicholas and Cornelius just to find out how many students actually walk down those roads. So I want to maybe pick a day and get some counts on both of those.
What the police asked for us to do because I forgot about that.
Oh, yeah, the police chief wants to do a school zone, wants some information on a school zone on
Andy, where,
Rosendale Road
Oh,
across from
Rosendale,
Iroquois, and then he also wants to do a school zone on Zinner.
yeah, he's very supportive of Complete Street. Okay,
Do we still have our colorful tires somewhere?
yeah.
Yes, how like he isn't.
Put them in the bike rodeo.
We
Okay.
can put them on the rodeo. We're not allowed to put them
I
on the road
understand.
anymore.
We have a little obstacle course and put them
They
in.
look really good on the bike rodeo.
We have them in the shed next to the transfer station. They're still there.
That's a great idea.
They're just spray painted
So
so
Bill,
meticulously. They're works of art. They're tires.
Quest went out for painted tires, so I did some painted tires.
Yeah, that'll make the bike, this will make it the best bike rodeo.
so we'll make sure. Yeah, last I knew they were still in the shed.
Almost, Jim, do you know, can we ask for bike helmets? Anybody out there that would give us a few, or
So we have
any organization that would come and bring some helmets to give away, or
we paid for the helmets with a mini grant from the Transportation Council.
Will we have any money like for spray paint?
Yeah, we can usually just take that out of my operating budget.
Okay,
Yeah,
because we just need,
we have all the stencils and the
yeah, I
things
just
that
want
were
to make,
expensive.
I just want to spray paint a couple of, but look, the big stencil takes like practically a canister.
I know. It's a lot.
So something that I actually did for a workshop down in the city of Albany is we got really big pieces of chalk, and I can send a picture on, but we actually put together a whole chalked out area to essentially make bump outs and extend a an island in the middle of the road to narrow the road on both sides. And it was this really big pieces of chalk. It worked really well. Even when the cars drove over it, it lasted all day. So one thing we could do instead of buying that spray paint, which is difficult to get and everything, is use this chalk. I still have a box of it. You use a lot of it, and I recommend wearing gloves because you'll chew up your fingers pretty good on the road when you put it down. But it does work. And if you guys want to just give it a try, Laura, I could come over. I've got a stencil too, but we could just stencil one out in the back corner of the lot and just see what everyone thinks. Some random day.
Break hands too. So yeah, if you want to send me that link, that'd be fine with me.
Yep. And the other thing I want to tell you, Laura, is the New York State DEC Bond Act money that just came out actually now allows for, and I haven't looked into it in detail, but I heard about it in a meeting the other day. Bike and pedestrian related projects can be utilized through climate smart communities in that New York State DEC Bond Act, which is new. So
Like,
it's something we
you'll
may be
get
able to look
points?
into.
You'll get
No.
points for it.
You get money.
They might find them. Oh, nice.
No, there's actual
All right.
funding for implementation through the Bond
Does
Act.
that mean
Bond Act is-
bike grants there's another funding stream for? the
Yeah,
quality
I
control?
haven't looked into the details, but yeah, the Bond Act now apparently will fund some of these things. I probably have to show an offset, to emissions or something, but yeah, it will allow for that. So we should look into the details of that as well, because the Bond Act is
Okay.
big. There's a lot of money there. And I know they're looking for interesting projects. So not to throw another grant on everyone, but that's something we should look at and see if that's an opportunity.
That's the one that we voted on, right? Like maybe the last big elections was that Bond Act?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Cool. Okay. I'll look into that. That's a really good idea.
So did you want me to reach out to CD Taylor, or are you going to do that?
Can you ask them if they would do a bus for our event, and then tell them I'll coordinate with them if they will?
Just tell them
Yeah.
you're Laura's personal secretary for the county this year.
Unless I'm faking your signature, that's not going to work. But I can take it as far as I can until the paperwork's needed. You got to do the fun paperwork.
I'll do the paperwork. Ready?
Okay, anything else, on the list that we?
What do they just mark it?
Yeah, and the driver comes and you can
He was very nice. too.
chat. Yeah.
Nice.
Anybody else have a quick comment at the end of the meeting here on anything on Complete Streets or anything you want to work on or mention?
Laura, can you remind me on Route 7, the alternate way you can get into the Leisure Kill? What's like the cross street for that?
Shannon Boulevard.
Shannon Boulevard. And is there an official place to park or no?
There is. It's pretty small, but there's like if you're going down, like if you're going westbound on Route 7, Shannon Boulevard's on your right. Just past Shannon Boulevard, there's like a little curb cut and kind of a gravelly, dirty thing there, and that's where you can park your car.
Okay.
Actually, the police love to sit there
Yeah.
to monitor traffic. It's like their favorite place to like go and catch people speeding. But if you go in there, there's a little place that you can park.
Okay.
Yeah, the highway department and the developer kind of put gravel there. So it's not like the nicest parking lot you'll ever see in your life, but you can park there.
And it's right on Route 7. Well, okay, thank you.
You can actually just probably park right on Shannon Boulevard. I think that would be safer for you. It's not official, but that's how I access that particular trail. I do it all. We've done it. We've taken our dog on that many times. It's not well marked, the trail right now.
Yeah.
You can figure it out.
Okay.
Yeah, I was talking to the Nature Conservancy about that, and they want to make the markings a little better. They wanted to do a little more work on it. But they actually consider the entrance of that trail off Shannon Boulevard. They
Yeah.
consider that if you're going down Shannon Boulevard and there's that big, like, sort of curve at the bottom of the hill,
Right.
you park on that curve, and then you can walk into the forest right there. Yeah, you can do it either way.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think they were a little worried about the parking on, but you can get in there too.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Okay, I think we're done for today. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the March 25 meeting. Cecilia has moved that we adjourn for the day. Second, all in favor, hold up your hand. Good, thank you all for coming today. It was a good and productive session. So, thanks.
Everybody.
How was Alaska?
It was good. It was a little bit sad.